Episode 3 The Spring Equinox. What wonders and mysteries await them beyond those magnificent doors? Let us discover together. As the massive doors swing fully open, the children step forward into the Chamber of Balance. The room is perfectly circular, with walls of polished white stone that seem to glow with an inner light. The floor is a mosaic of intricate tiles depicting the cycle of seasons. Winter giving way to spring, spring to summer, summer to autumn, and autumn returning to winter in an endless circle. But it is the ceiling that truly captures their attention. Above them stretches a perfect representation of the sky at the exact moment of equinox, half in daylight, half in night, the dividing line running precisely through the center of the domed ceiling. On the day side, the sun shines brightly among scattered clouds, while on the night side, stars and a crescent moon gleam against deep blue. The division is exact, yet the transition between the two halves is seamless, creating a visual representation of perfect balance. C'est le moment exact de l'équinoxe, the exact moment of the equinox, Eloise explains, her voice hushed with reverence, when day and night are perfectly equal across the world. In the center of the chamber stands a raised platform of white marble. Upon this platform rests a complex mechanism, a series of golden scales arranged in a circle, each balanced precariously with different objects representing aspects of spring. Flower buds and melting ice, bird nests and new leaves, rain and sunshine. Le défi de l'équilibre, the challenge of balance, Eloise says, gesturing toward the mechanism. During the spring equinox, the labyrinth tests those who seek its wisdom with a challenge that reflects the delicate balance of the season. The children approach the platform cautiously, examining the scales without touching them. Each scale balances two contrasting elements of spring, growth and rest, warmth and coolness, light and shadow. It's like a physical representation of the equinox itself, Luca observes, adjusting his glasses as he studies the mechanism, everything in perfect equilibrium. But what's the challenge? Aidan wonders, his logical mind already seeking the puzzle to be solved. As if in response to his question, the butterflies that guided them to the chamber, blue, gold, and purple, fly into the room and begin to circle the mechanism. As they do, one of the scales tips slightly, disturbing the perfect balance. Then another scale shifts, and another, until all the scales are slightly out of alignment. The balance has been disrupted, Eloise explains. This happens each year at the equinox. The transition between seasons creates a moment of imbalance that must be corrected for spring to fully awaken in the labyrinth. So we need to rebalance the scales, Maya asks, her creative mind already considering possible solutions. Oui, but it is not as simple as it appears, Eloise cautions. The balance must be perfect, and it must reflect the true nature of spring, not just equal weight on each side, but harmony between opposing forces. The children gather around the mechanism, studying the now unbalanced scales. Each scale has shifted in a different way, some favoring growth over rest, others warmth over coolness, light over shadow. I think I understand, Zara says, her observant eyes noting patterns in the imbalance. Spring isn't just about everything being equal. It's about the right balance for each aspect of the season. Exactament. Eloise nods approvingly. In early spring there is still coolness in the air, even as warmth begins to return. New growth appears, but many plants still rest. The balance is not static. It shifts and changes as the season progresses. So we need to adjust each scale to reflect the proper balance for this exact moment in spring, Luca concludes, his scientific mind grasping the concept. But how do we know what the right balance is for each scale? Aidan asks, always focused on the practical aspects of a challenge. Eloise gestures to the butterflies still circling above the mechanism. Les papillons will guide you. They are creatures of transformation and balance. Watch how they move, where they gather, and you will find your answers. The children observe the butterflies carefully. The blue night butterflies hover more abundantly over certain sides of the scales, while the golden day butterflies favor others. The purple twilight butterflies move between both sides. Their patterns complex, but not random. They're showing us the correct balance, Maya realizes. Look, more blue butterflies over the rest side of this scale, but more gold ones over the growth side of that one. And the purple ones seem to indicate when both sides should be equal, Aidan adds, noting how the twilight butterflies distribute themselves evenly across certain scales. This is your third choice, dear listeners. How should our explorers approach rebalancing the scales? 1. Should they work together on each scale, making decisions as a group? 2. Should they each take responsibility for different scales, using their individual strengths? 3. Should they divide into their path groups? Zara handling scales related to night, Maya those related to day, and Luca and Aidan those connected to twilight. As you consider this choice, imagine the complex mechanism before them, 12 delicate scales arranged in a circle, each requiring precise adjustment to achieve the perfect balance that will fully awaken spring within the labyrinth. After careful consideration, the children decide on the third option, applying the wisdom they gained from their separate journeys through the equinox paths. I think we should each focus on the aspects we experienced on our paths, Zara suggests. I learned about the night aspects of spring on the blue path, the quiet growth that happens in darkness, the dreams and plans that form before action. And I saw the day aspects on the golden path, Maya adds, the visible growth, the warmth and light that encourage blooming and activity. We experience the balance between the two on the twilight path, Luca says, gesturing to himself and Aidan. The transition points, the moments of change from one state to another. Eloise nods approvingly. A wise approach. Each of you has gained unique insight from your journey. Together, you can achieve the perfect balance. The children move to different sections of the circular mechanism. Zara approaches the scales related to rest, dreams, and the quiet aspects of spring. Maya takes responsibility for the scales representing growth, warmth, and active energy. Luca and Aidan position themselves at the scales that balance transition states, dawn and dusk, melting and freezing, awakening and settling. Guided by the butterflies of their respective paths, each child begins to make careful adjustments. Zara watches the blue night butterflies, noting how they cluster more densely over certain weights. With gentle, precise movements, she shifts the balance of her scales until the butterflies distribute themselves in a pattern that feels harmonious and right. Maya follows the golden day butterflies, adjusting her scales to reflect the proper balance of spring's active energies. Some scales require more weight on the growth side, others a more even distribution between growth and rest. Luca and Aidan work together on the transition scales, following the complex patterns of the purple twilight butterflies. These scales prove the most challenging, requiring constant communication and coordination between the two boys to achieve the subtle balance points where change occurs. As each scale clicks into its proper position, a soft chime sounds, and the butterflies above that scale form into a perfect spiral pattern. One by one, the scales achieve balance, each chime adding a new note to an emerging melody that fills the chamber with harmonious sound. When the final scale clicks into place, the complete melody resonates throughout the room, a beautiful, complex tune that somehow captures the essence of spring itself. The butterflies of all three types swirl together above the now balanced mechanism, forming a spectacular vortex of blue, gold, and purple light. From the center of this vortex, a new object begins to materialize, a crystalline orb about the size of an apple, glowing with the combined light of all three butterfly types. It hovers momentarily above the mechanism, and gently descends into Eloise's outstretched hands. L'orbe de l'équinoxe, the equinox orb, she announces, holding it up for the children to see. It appears only when the perfect balance of spring has been achieved. It contains the essence of the equinox, the perfect harmony of day and night, growth and rest, warmth and coolness. The orb pulses with light, its interior swirling with colors that shift and change like the patterns of the butterflies. Within its depths, the children can see miniature scenes of spring, flowers blooming, ice melting, birds returning, all captured in crystalline detail. "It's beautiful," Maya breathes, her artistic sensibilities captivated by the orb's changing patterns. "And look what's happening!" Zara points to the ceiling of the chamber where the representation of the equinox sky is beginning to change. The dividing line between day and night remains in the center, but now the day portion shows the sun climbing higher, while the night portion shows stars beginning to fade. A representation of spring progressing beyond the equinox moment. "You have successfully balanced the scales," Eloise explains, allowing spring to fully awaken within the labyrinth. The seasons can now progress naturally until the next point of transition. As the children watch in wonder, the walls of the chamber begin to transform. The white stone takes on a faint green tinge, and delicate vines with tiny leaf buds begin to grow from the seams between the stones. The floor mosaic shifts slightly. the spring section becoming more prominent and detailed. "The labyrinth is changing," Luca observes, his scientific curiosity piqued by this transformation. "Oui, it responds to the seasonal balance," Eloise confirms. "Now that spring has been properly awakened, new paths and chambers will appear, reflecting the growing season." She holds out the equinox orb to the children. "This belongs to all of you. It is both a reward for solving the challenge of balance and a key that will open new areas of the labyrinth." The children gather around as Eloise places the orb in the center of their circle. It hovers just above their outstretched hands, spinning slowly and casting prismatic light across their faces. "How do we use it?" Aidan asks, always focused on practical applications. "The orb responds to intention and need," Eloise explains. "When you encounter a door or challenge related to spring and balance, it will activate and show you the way forward." As the children marvel at their new magical tool, the butterflies that have been swirling above them begin to disperse. The blue night butterflies gather around Zara, the golden day butterflies circle Maya, and the purple twilight butterflies hover near Luca and Aidan. "They're thanking you," Eloise says with a smile. "You've helped them complete their migration ritual. Now they will spread throughout the spring section of the labyrinth, bringing balance and transformation wherever they go." One butterfly from each group, blue, gold, and purple, breaks away from the others and lands on the equinox orb. As they touch its surface, they transform into crystalline patterns that become part of the orb itself, adding new dimensions to its shifting interior scenes. "They've become part of the orb," Zara notes, her observant eyes catching every detail of the transformation, like they're guiding it somehow. "Indeed," Eloise nods. "The butterflies of the equinox are now connected to you through the orb. They will help guide your future journeys through the spring labyrinth." With the challenge of balance complete and the equinox orb in their possession, the children prepare to leave the Chamber of Balance. The massive doors swing open once more, but instead of the convergence corridor they entered through, they now reveal a new path, a wide, sunlit passage lined with flowering trees and musical fountains. "Le chemin du printemps, the path of spring," Eloise announces. "Now that you have awakened spring within the labyrinth, you may explore its wonders and secrets." As our young adventurers step onto this new path, the equinox orb floating just ahead of them like a guide, I invite you, dear listeners, to hold these images in your mind. The perfectly balanced scales in the chamber of balance, the magical butterflies of blue, gold, and purple light, and the crystalline equinox orb with its swirling interior scenes of spring awakening. Tomorrow, we shall follow our explorers deeper into the spring labyrinth, where Eloise will share stories of her own connection to this magical realm and the French traditions that celebrate the season of renewal. Until then, may your own world find the perfect balance between activity and rest, growth and reflection, just as our young heroes have achieved in the Chamber of Balance. End of Episode 3.